Hello. So AOC gives a fiery speech on the Green New Deal. Democrats refuse to vote on it, and Justin Smollett's case continues to fall apart. I'm going to get to all of it. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God of Freedom Show. All right. I hope everyone had a great Thursday. We have quite a bit to get to, so let's not waste any time. So the fallout from the Mueller report release continues to go on. Democrats at this point have just completely refused to accept Barr's summary of the report. They have pretty much come out, all of them have come out and just suggested that let's wait for the full report. Let's just wait for all the evidence to come out. Which, I mean, where was all this? What was this mindset with this past 2 years? I mean, these exact same people saying this now were the same people that said, for the past 2 years that without them seeing evidence that Trump definitely colluded with Russia to influence the election. But I mean, that's how they operate. They like to do that kind of switch thing. They did that with the Justice Smollett case and the Covington Catholic High School student case. As you recall, for example, the Justice Smollett case. At the beginning, they believed Justice Smollett's story from the get-go, believing that Trump supporters are racist, and that he was definitely attacked by racist Trump supporters and all that. But as evidence came out, that suggested that that was not the case. Democrats kind of switched their positions to say that, oh, let's just wait for more evidence to come out. We can't make proper judgments about it, so just wait. Which, I mean, that's a funny switch. I mean, you weren't saying that 2 minutes ago. But I mean, that's how Democrats operate. It's not really surprising. But I mean, like I said, they're just pushing really hard to get this the full report released, which I'm not against. I like to see the full report as well. And Barr is actually working on releasing it. The thing is, it's not going to be a quick process. Just if there's a lot of legal stuff he has to go through to make sure there's no classified material that we cannot see on there, which just makes sense. So I mean, it's coming. Just not going to be maybe sometime next week, but we'll see. But I mean, luckily there are some Democrats that are being reasonable about this whole thing. One of them is Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know if I said that right, but it's pretty close. She is one of the Democratic candidates for running for president right now. I mean, she's always been kind of more moderate side. I mean, she hasn't really said anything off the record crazy or anything. But here's what she tweeted earlier this morning. Mueller reported Trump did not collude with Russia to influence our elections. Now we must put aside the partisan interests, move forward, and work to unite our country to deal with the serious challenges we face. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable tweet there. I mean, that's basically right. And I wish both Democrats and Republicans had this same mindset. Don't worry about the partisan stuff. Just work together and get some stuff done. But of course, she was bashed by the left for this, some saying you're not part of our party, you're a Russian asset. You haven't seen the full report, so how do you know that you have been compromised? But it's all ridiculous. It's all stupid. I mean, at this point, even when the report is actually released, I doubt Democrats will even accept the results then. I bet they'll probably say well, Mueller has been compromised to Trump. He's actually a Russian asset. We had to get to the bottom of this. We're probably going to investigate him. It'd be very surprising to see Democrats accept it. That's very surprising. All right, so let's move on to the Green New Deal. So a couple of days ago, I think on probably Wednesday, AOC, who is one of the fresh faces of the Democratic Party, so fresh and so incredibly face, gave a fiery speech on the Green New Deal in the House chambers. And yeah, I'm gonna actually post the video in the description to this video, so y'all can watch the full video. But basically, what you're saying here is like, people are dying. People are dying, and we have only 12 years to before the end of the world. We gotta act now. We gotta act before it's too late. And but she's been saying this for like most of this point. Since when the Green New Deal was first introduced. But was she doing anything? But all right, sorry, I got a little stumbled there. But in an act of complete and total hilarity and trollery, Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, basically brought up the Green New Deal for a vote on the Senate floor. And so he brought it up to vote, and no Democrats voted for it. There were about 4 Democrats that voted against it, and those are more kind of moderate kind of Democrats that, like Joe Donnelly, for example. There's no way that he would actually support the Green New Deal. But the rest of the Democrats, like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, all of them voted present instead of voting for it. Which is like, if the climate is like as big a deal as they say it is, you would think they would try to vote for it and fight for it. And if it fails to pass, and then they can, I guess, try to blame Republicans for not it passing. But they didn't even vote for it, so they really got themselves to blame. But the hilarious thing is AOC tweeted out basically what she had done is basically told the Democrats to not vote for this thing. And here's what she tweeted out about it. It was like Senator John Barrazo, if I said that right, asked AOC, why did Senate Democrats just duck on a vote on your Green New Deal? And then AOC replied back and said, because I encouraged them to vote present along with others. McConnell tried to rush the Green New Deal straight to the floor without a hearing. The real question we should be asking, why does the Senate GOP refuse to hold any major hearings on climate change? Okay. But look, like you said, AOC, we got like 12 years left. But if we don't act now, we got only the world we're in 12 years. We don't have time to have hearings. We got to act on this Green New Deal right now. So, what's the big deal? Is climate change a big deal or not? But the reason why Democrats are even acting like this because they know that the Green New Deal is total crap. It's a pile of garbage. It says just that we should kill cows, basically tear down every building in the United States and renovate it, get rid of airplanes, get rid of cars. It's a garbage bill. And Democrats know this. That's why they're trying hard to not really vote for it, but at the same time, they just want to talk about it for their base. So basically, just use it as a virtual signal thing, which it's not surprising in the least. They've been doing that. They always do that with all kinds of things, like did that with gun control. When Democrats have both the House, Senate, and the presidency, they have plenty of opportunities to get some gun control bills passed, but not a single one came through. They just wanted the virtual signal on it, and same with immigration. But it doesn't. With all that said, it doesn't erase that just the pure idiocy of AOC. She honestly doesn't know a thing a thing about U.S. government or anything. I mean, you can see that in the Green New Deal, and just how like she explains her what she wants in the deal. Like she refused to answer questions about how she'll pay for it. It's just she's I don't know. She just doesn't know a thing. So all right. So before I move on to the other stuff, I gotta comment on this. So Senator Mike Lee from Utah, um, during the same time where AOC gave her speech, he came up and to talk about the Green New Deal as well, and yeah, it's pretty much all like a satire and joke, just hilarious. So basically he used memes in this speech, and I'm gonna post a link to the video so y'all can see it in the description. Basically, like he's saying how sorry. So basically, how like the Green New Deal is very very important, and it's like patriotic to vote for it, and to express that he showed a picture of President President Ronald Reagan on a Velociraptor holding two machine guns with a rocket launcher on its back, and then with the Velociraptor holding a holding the American flag. It was just hilarious. You gotta actually watch it to get the full joke, because I mean, I can't really explain it well, but I mean, this whole thing was hilarious. But of course, like Democrats don't in the media don't get comedy very well. So I mean, they're actually baffled by this whole thing. Like Mother Jones had a piece to it saying, "Senate Republicans." Sorry, just let me know. Yes, Senate Republicans tried to mock Democrats for the Green New Deal. Then Mike Lee pulled out his charts. Freshman Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, so fresh to face, has inspired Republicans to talk about climate change, albeit not in the most productive way. When Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell forced the vote on the Green New Deal resolution on Tuesday as part of his efforts to brand all Democrats socialists or sow a division within their ranks, most of the focus remained on how Democrats would respond to the bad faith ploy. I mean, okay, again, if climate change is as important as they say it is, and if like the end of the world is coming, why not vote on it now? I mean, what's the big deal? But I mean, then again, I mean, I guess Democrats in the media don't like being called out for how idiotic their ideas actually are. I mean, I guess it's kind of more of a human kind of response. I mean, when someone gets, some people like when they get called out, they don't like it very much. So I mean, I guess that's how they're reacting to it. But anyways, it continues. Instead, Democrats decided to vote present on Tuesday, adopting a strategy similar to their approach last year when House Republicans brought a pro-ICE resolution to a vote. This show of unanimity included Senator Ed Markey, Massachusetts, the Green New Deal resolution sponsor, which is hilarious too. I want to correct what I said earlier. Is that actually Mitch McConnell had it on the vote on Tuesday, not Wednesday, but the speech was on Wednesday, so the vote came before the speech, which okay. Anyways, in fact, there isn't a Green New Deal yet beyond a framework, a name, and some very ambitious targets. No, there was actually, did you recall back in, was it February, I believe? It's around that time, AOC posted her Green New Deal online, but she got mocked relentlessly by Republicans, and rightfully so. It was a garbage thing. So she took it off, and then suggested that it was just a draft. I mean, it wasn't a real thing. I mean, that wasn't the real thing. Which I mean, we all knew it was, but I mean, she got called out for idiocy, so she tried to backtrack and deflect from it. So, anyways, what was it? Yeah, how to start them. And in fact, there is an agreement. Yeah, slashing greenhouse gas emissions to zero in a decade and guaranteeing jobs and fair wages. But it's never too early for the war over the near to start. More moderate Green New Deal critics often complain that it goes too far on policy matters like nuclear energy, which resolution did not address at all, and conservatives charge it would take away American livelihoods like cows and airplanes. Which I mean, that's what it said. It's said in there like it wants to basically kill cows and get rid of airplanes, re-innovate like every building in the United States. And by the way, I was pointing the note that talking about greenhouse gas emissions. The United States is pretty much leading. I don't know if it's leading, but I mean it's like pretty much like dropped in greenhouse gas emissions in pretty dramatic way. I think since like 2017, I believe. I could be mistaken about that. I'm pretty sure it's around the area. But I mean, the idea that the United States is the leading greenhouse emission is just nonsense. Actually, China and India is leading the world in greenhouse gas emissions, and Democrats refuse to actually try to go after them. They just want to they just want to attack the United States for it. And again, I don't think this isn't all about climate change. This is more about trying to get a socialist economy in the United States. They want to, and it was evident in the Green New Deal, they want to basically socialize, like nationalize every like industry, but put it under the government, have the government control everything, pretty much. Take away airplanes, like only government approved cars, like all kinds of ridiculous stuff. Alright, continues. Remember, Republicans have no plan for confronting climate change. Few national Republican politicians will even admit that it is a problem, let alone propose policy options for how to slash greenhouse gases and prepare for the future. So while the Green New Deal debate has forced Democratic presidential contenders and questionable leaders into debating serious choices over policy, the Senate Republicans, with cues from President Trump, treat climate change like a joke. Okay, here's a kind of a personal take on the whole climate change thing. I think that it is happening, but I don't think it's happening on the scale that Democrats say it is. I think, like, basically, but from what I'm seeing, humans do have a kind of a, this, from the IPC reports I have actually seen, like, humans do have a, do affect the climate just a little bit, but they do affect the climate, but it's not as dramatic as Democrats would like it to be. And I mean, it says it right in the IPC reports. Like, there's like been other report that says like, we only have like only 5 years before like the end of the world happens with unless we change like how we do this. But then it turns out like a year later, the same IPC report comes down saying, oh, it wasn't as big a deal as it was, as we said it was. So, I mean, that's my take on it. I mean, again, I'm not an expert on climatology, so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. So, I mean, besides like really today, I'm not going to really comment on it very much. I mean, except for like more of a broader, more policy-wise. But I mean, as far as everything else concerned, I mean, I'm not going to talk about it. I mean, unless I get a degree in it, I'm not an expert at all. Anyways, it continues to consider Senator Mike Lee from Utah and his contribution to the debate today. Republicans have repeatedly categorized the Green New Deal as ridiculous. It is. In keeping with the lighthearted attitude to sea level rise and central threats. Okay, Lee showed a series of charts that just show how ridiculous he considers the Green New Deal to be. There isn't a single serious idea in here. This image has as much to do with the overcoming communism in the 20th century as the Green New Deal has to do with overcoming climate change in the 21st century, he explained. Swapping charts that is the real solution to climate change, babies. By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, boosting its capacity to solve climate change. Sorry. That's just amazing trollery. I just amazing. But I mean, of course, like Democrats and like the media don't know jokes very well, so I mean, they're like scratching their heads, like, why we say this? Why we mock AOC like that? It's still not comedy. I mean, when the comedy comes from on the right, the left doesn't accept it. I mean, unlike like when we see comedy come from the left, we act like it. We it's not. Laugh at it if it's funny. But I mean, but the left has a very narrow view of what comedy is. I mean, their idea of comedy is just, I mean, making unfunny jokes about President Trump or like Ivanka Trump or Melania Trump, whatever. But I mean, but it's all politics, I guess. I mean, just both sides kind of making jokes at each other, yelling at each other. I mean, that's how it all works. All right, and other news, the Justin Smollett case continues to completely just fall apart day by day. As you recall, on Monday, was it? Yeah, Monday. Uh, Justin Smollett's charges of faking a hate crime were just magically dropped all of a sudden, and his record sealed. Strange, huh? But I mean, I kind of went into a little bit of detail about it. Basically, Kim Fox, who was the district attorney for Cook County in Chicago, I believe, who is also a former aide to Michelle Obama, basically for no reason at all, dropped just as much charges. And the story basically goes how I think was it hold on. Right, sorry, it's basically yep. Kim Fox basically was encouraged by someone on the outside, maybe the Obamas, maybe someone close to her, to let's just drop the charges on Justice Smollett, just kind of let this go. Which is, I mean, the whole thing is just fishy from the get go. It's very weird. Emily Zanotti over at the Daily Wire has a great piece on it. Kind of explains it more better. In this title, Chicago Police Union wants a federal investigation to the city's prosecutor over her interference in Justice Smollett case. Chicago's Fraternal Order of Police is officially requesting a federal investigation to whether the Cook County State's Attorney, Kim Fox, State's Attorney, tried to interfere into the department's investigation of Empire star Justice Smollett on behalf of former Obama administration official. CWB Chicago, which has covered the Smollett case from the beginning, reports that Chicago's police union requested the investigation in a letter to John R. Lott, the U.S. attorney in Chicago, on Monday. Smollett is accused of staging a hate crime outside of his Chicago apartment in the early morning hours of January 29th, 2019. Smollett claimed to have been assaulted by two white men who beat him, tied him a noose around his neck, and splashed him with bleach before yelling, "This is MAGA country," and running off. After an intense investigation involving at least a dozen Chicago Police Department officers, CPD announced that they believe Smollett orchestrated the attack with the help of his two friends, brothers he'd met on the set of his hit television show. Smollett was charged with disorderly conduct, but only after Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox recused herself for reasons they went unspecified until last week. Fox, and then Cook County State's Attorney Fox recused herself in the late investigation, but only after she intervened in the case by asking Chicago Police Department Superintendent Eddie Johnson to turn the investigation over to the FBI at the request of a Smollett relative and a former Obama administration official, according to the newly released emails and text messages. Yeah, so, see, I mean, that's just very, very shitty. So basically, what we have here is an Obama official and like a relative basically coming to Kim Fox and basically saying, "I just let this all go, please. I mean, just let all this go. Just drop it." Just the whole thing is shitty, and the mayor of Chicago was rightfully just livid about this whole thing. I mean, he just went after Kim Fox and Cook County and all that. I mean, and I'll post a video to that later. But I mean, it was quite weird, kind of agreeing with him. But I mean, earlier today, actually, he came out and basically said he blames Trump for Jussie Smollett taking this hate crime. I mean, whatever. That makes no sense. But I mean, his first video was better. It made more sense, in my opinion. But whatever. But I mean, again, I mean, Trump is actually sounded off on this. He basically suggested that he's going to get the FBI and some federal investigators like in on this, and rightfully so. I mean, there needs to be some kind of investigation into this because this is very, very shady stuff, and I hope there's some. I mean, no, but I mean, if there's something shady found, I mean, there needs to be a damage into it. I mean, yeah, it's very, very weird. Alrighty, so now that we're doing that, today being a Friday, like I said on Wednesday, I'm going to start doing these little segments on Wednesday and Fridays. Basically, on Wednesdays, it's going to be kind of a good news and slash bad news type deal, and on Fridays, it's going to be theological type thing. And since today is Friday, let's do some theological religion stuff. And so this week's theological thing comes from New York Times. It's an opinion piece by Peter Atherton. Oh, but I hope I'm saying these names right. But it's titled "A God Problem: Perfect, all-powerful, all-knowing. The idea of the deity most Westerners accept is actually not coherent." Okay, let's see what he has to say. If you look up God in the dictionary, the first entry you will find will be something along the lines of a being believed to be infinitely perfect, wise, and powerful creator and ruler of the universe. Certainly, if applied to the non-Western context, the definition would be puzzling. But in the Western context, this is how philosophers have traditionally understood God. In fact, the conception of a God is sometimes known as the God of philosophers. Which, I mean, that does make sense, because the idea of the kind of Western civilization was founded on Judeo-Christian values, which I mean, as a Christian, we believe, God is all powerful, all knowing, all loving, all good, supreme ruler of the universe, creator of the universe. So, I mean, the idea of God in that context makes sense to us. But I mean, of course, if you don't believe in this, I mean, I guess it doesn't make sense. But anyways, he continues. As a philosopher myself, I'd like to focus on the specific question: does the idea of a morally perfect, all-powerful, all-knowing God make sense? Does it hold together when we examine it logically? Well, by logically, what do you mean? I mean, the thing is that what people tend to like kind of mistaken sometimes when they approach God with some kind of like logical like thesis. They forget to realize that God doesn't work within our realm of logic. He's like, out of the realm of science. And all that. So that's why you can't physically prove the existence of God. You can use science to prove like certain things, like because I know that there's been scientists that proves like there's been uh, I'm sorry, but there's been like scientists that like studied this creation the creationist thing. Um, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought, but yeah, basically scientists have been studying the idea of Genesis, and they have found like kind of evidence of a flood. Basically, it's been like the scientists have studied kind of layers of rocks, basically, and how from the looks of it, you can tell that there was like water at some point at high levels of those big rocks, and also on there's been fish fossils found on top of Mount Everest on the very top. So you would think at some point there was water up there. So just little things like that, the kind of. But you can't prove the existence of God Himself with human science because He's outside the realm of science. And the thing is, and He's outside of our like level of like logic. So when you come at it with human logic, I get, it doesn't really make sense. But when you actually know Him and like study the Bible and all that, and you realize okay, I'm just human. I don't know. I can't know everything that God knows. But when I'm seeing like basically, this is what. Where am I going with this? Basically, when you actually know God, you'll see the idea of an all-perfect, all-knowing God does make sense. But yeah, but then again, you can't know everything. The common question asked among like two like theists is like, if God is all good, why does He let evil happen? I mean, and then again, that's kind of something that people have been asked for centuries, and I kind of think I'm along like this. Basically, like since we're like kind of flawed, just regular human beings, we can't know the knowledge of God, so we can't know the perfect answer to that. But here's a couple of simple answers I got. One of them for like say, I'm sorry, say sometimes when people, okay, when people do evil stuff. Um, that's not him. That wasn't part of God's plan. That's like all due to the fall of man with Adam and Eve. When Adam Adam and Eve like ate that fruit because they thought they can know better than God. That caused a basically a downfall in humanity, and we've been just living with evil in our hearts and just around us ever since then. So that's where kind of free will comes in. God doesn't want to raise robots. Well, not raise, but God didn't create robots. Basically, He created us to choose like what is right, what is wrong. It wasn't originally planned like that, but that's how it all came to be. And people can choose evil, people can choose good. And that's all free will. But and also in another context, let's go back to like the book of John. I believe it's in the chapter 9. Um, let me actually find it. Yes, John chapter 9 is when Jesus heals the blind man. Um, Actually, I'm soon to read it. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. Rabbi, his disciples asked him, "Why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins or his parents?" Then Jesus answered, "It was not because of his sins or his parents' sins. This happened so the power of God could be seen in him. We must quickly carry out the task assigned to us by the one who sent us. The night is coming, and then no one can work. But while I'm here in the world, I am the light of the world." So basically, what Jesus says here is basically, now we get like, say, hmm, oh, I got actually a perfect example. So I got this buddy of mine, who was he told me the story where he has been talking to this old man. He's basically, buddy's actually a car mechanic, and he was talking about to this man who was repairing his car with, and one day at one day the man called my buddy and said that his wife was had a colon cancer, stage 3 colon cancer, and basically, so he went up there to pray for them, and then about a month later, he got a call back from them and said that that cancer was all gone. I mean, and like when I first heard that story, I was like completely mind blown about that. With that, it's crazy, and it kind of just coincides with this. Basically, bad stuff happens sometimes. We get cancer or get sick or just all kinds of bad stuff, but sometimes that happens. It all happens for a reason, and it all happens to prove or to show God's glory. And yeah, as it says here, this man was born blind, um, but then he was born blind for the purpose to show the power of God, and it was pretty positive. Basically, Jesus, what he did was basically spit on the ground and it made mud with the spit on the ground and made mud in the dirt with the saliva and spread it over the man's eyes. And then he told the guy, "Go wash yourself in the pool of selenium." So the man went and washed his eyes out, and then came back seeing. Which is, the Bible, the Gospels are full of that, but they're just one prime example of it. Basically, and like I said, there's like the bad stuff does happen to us, but that happens to show God's glory in it. I mean, and it may not be easy to see it like right then and there at the moment, but eventually you'll see God's glory, whether in one way or another. But, I really like the story, John. Just, I like I think I like the entire Bible, of course, but this one is always just kind of stuck out to me, just because I personally experienced that too, and just what my buddy told me with that story, it's all cool. All right, especially yeah, the piece that basically goes on like this, it just kind of like questions, but the actual, like, whether the idea of God of being all knowing and all powerful and all that makes sense. I mean, but then again, it kind of comes at it with a human kind of logic. If that makes sense, like you can't. And then, like I said, like God is outside of the realm of our logic. But and then again, I'll post this thing. I'll post this piece to the description so y'all can read it too. So to kind of give the full context of what's being said here. All right, but other than that, That's all I have for today. Um, I'll be back here on Wednesday with more whatever crazy stuff is gonna come. Um, so yeah, if you like this video, hit that like button, of course, and share it with your friends, and of course, if you want to see more content, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see y'all on Wednesday. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the Guide and Freeman Show.